Now you will remember in yesterday's episode I was complaining about the fact that I thought the contacts on the rotary selector dial on the front of this thing were probably corroded or something, and I will be very surprised if there's anything I can do about this thing. I haven't had it apart yet. This is... I think I got all the screws here. I don't want to force anything. Mind you, it's not working properly anyway, but still. There must be another screw somewhere. Doesn't want to come loose. Oh, here they are, right here. There's two of them. I don't know why there's so many. I do have a different screwdriver, but that means I'd have to go down to my workshop. So, alright, now let's see what's going to happen. Now, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to see the contacts and just sort of clean them up a little bit. But in all likelihood, it's going to be contacts on a printed circuit board, and if they're worn down, there is nothing you can do. Well, there's the contacts that I was talking about, and there's the printed circuit board. Well, I guess I could sort of wipe that down with isopropyl. That'll help a little bit. Maybe take some very fine sandpaper and just go over these contacts. I'll give it a try, and I'll let you know later how it worked out. I have an old analog meter, you know, the kind that has a needle that goes up and down, and it had the same problem. That's why I was thinking that maybe that's the problem with this, and I cleaned it up and I got a few more years out of it till I bought this. Anyway, now this is my official disclaimer here. This is not a tutorial on how to fix your multimeter. I'm just using my extra fine sanding stick here. I'll just sort of get any kind of tarnish that may have built up on those contacts. Now I'm going to take a Q-tip. Maybe I'll use one of Jim's mini Q-tips or cotton buds and just sort of swab it. I don't want to be getting any, you know what, I'm almost seeing corrosion on there. I'll put on the macro lens and I'll show you. I got to be careful not to press down on here because there is a lot of stuff that can be bent on the underside, so I got to be careful here. Oh, and this little spring you see here, I think that's a grounding spring. It makes contact with a... Where did I see that? Yeah, there's something in there that it makes contact with, I guess. Anyway, I don't know why, but it does. What was I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to wipe these off with isopropyl. Now remember, this is not a tutorial. I'm just taking a chance that this is going to help. Just try and get rid of any of the, what you might call corrosion or whatever it is that happens on these things from the friction of the one metal rubbing against the other, and you know, stuff built up. I don't know if there's supposed to be a conducting lubricant that would be put on this. Maybe there should have been. I know that there is such a thing, but I don't know if it was used in this case or not. Okay. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 separate contacts. Okay, I'm not seeing, I'm seeing a little bit of darkening there on there, so I must have got something off. Now for this one here, I think I'll use a larger Q-tip and just go around very carefully. Now, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but there does appear to be, in some places, if I hold the light just right, there does appear to be some sort of a build-up on these metal rings. And I don't think they're worn down to the place where they look okay to me. So I'm just going to swab them off, and then we'll put her back together and see if it seems to work better. Well, here's hoping that this isopropyl does not dissolve the coating that's on the circuit board and is actually going to do more harm than good here. Don't want to press too hard. I'm seeing something on the Q-tip building up there. I'm also noticing what appears to be a little crack right there. Yeah, I don't think that should be there like that. I don't want to touch these with my fingers and get grease on them. Now there's a right way and a wrong way for this to go in. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Okay, so there's a bit of a notch right there for something. What would that notch have been for? Okay, so it would be, doesn't seem to be for anything. Well, let's see what happens here if we try to put this on. Once again, this is not a tutorial. I'm just sort of winging it here. Oh, by the way, this sound, that was not dubbed in. Wonder who it was who put this together the first time. Probably about 10, 15 years ago. Okay, I'm missing a screw. Oh, there it is. Now I think I better just check and make sure everything feels right here when I turn the dial. Yeah, feels alright to me. Now, is there any other little parts that I forgot? I don't think so. It's actually fairly simple. I think before I put this rubber thing on, we'll just put the battery on and just see if it still seems to want to work. I hate these 9-volt batteries, by the way. I don't like the connections. They don't seem to last as long. No, that's just my opinion. Okay. Well, here we go. What's going to happen when we turn it on? Are we going to get a display? Or are we going to get nothing? I don't like the sound of that. Now I've got to take it all apart again, find out what that is. Well, I'll do it off camera. Okay. I've spent about 5 minutes trying to figure out where this thing could go. And the only place it makes sense is maybe it was sitting on that spring. But why? I don't know. I don't know of any other place that this ball bearing could have gone, unless somehow it fell in there from the workbench. But No, that wouldn't have happened. Yeah, there's just no other place on here that it would go. Unless it, wait a minute, I wonder if possibly it was supposed to be on the other side of this where no, this is the other end of the dial right here, I think. So let me just check that out. No, it wouldn't be that, because this just goes right through. That's the shaft for the knob. So that's not what it is. Well, I'm going to assume that it was supposed to sit on here like this. Now, if I'm lucky enough that any of my model viewers are versed in repairing volt-ohm meters, maybe you can sort of fill me in on that. In the meantime, I'm going to put this back together again. Okay, I've got 3 brand new batteries. They should be 1.5 volts or a little bit more, and I've got a couple of resistors from my tinkering days. That's should be a 100 ohm, and this should be a 10 ohm. So let's do the simple ones first. Battery check. Volts, DC volts. All right, here we go. 1.613, 1.604, 1.591. Yeah, that's okay. That's about what brand new batteries that have never been used are. Let's check the AC volts here. Okay. Now, I don't want to be touching those. You know, I haven't given myself a shock for a long time. Okay, 123.3 volts. Well, that's about right for Winnipeg. We have a fairly high voltage here. I don't know why. If I was to check it at 220, it'd probably be around 245, you know. Anyway, now let's check the ohms. All right. What was this one? This is our 10 ohm. So let's see what happens here. We can make a good contact. Come on. I'm noticing that this one looks like I may have burned it out. So I don't know how accurate this is going to be. It doesn't seem to want to read. Let's try this one here. No, it doesn't want to do the ohms. Let's try and wiggle this a little bit here. Well, if I go like this, it should go to 0. Well, that works. I'll just try my hands here. There's a little bit of resistance there. I think it's working. It's possible that I've burnt these things out. But it shouldn't be. This one looks okay. Oh, there we go. 101.7 ohms. So that's pretty close, because these are plus or minus 10%. So now, why wasn't this one working? We're getting there. Okay, 10.2 ohms. Okay. All right. Offhand, I'd say I didn't damage it by cleaning it. If anything, I made it work better.
Now, by work better, I mean now at least I can check my batteries. The other day I went to check batteries and the readout was just all over the place no matter what I did. I couldn't check a battery.
Now, just in case somebody's wondering, what does fixing my multimeter have to do with these little tiny eye bolts we're trying to make up? Well, if you remember, we were trying to find out, is this wire coated? And so I guess it's kind of related, and that's why it's not a video all of its own. It's part of the model ship. Anyway, that's my thinking on it. However, I'm still not convinced that this is coated. I don't think it is. And I've got another idea, but that's going to have to wait for tomorrow's episode. Anyway, what I want to do right now is the hole in the eye bolt is too big. It's not to scale. And I'm going to just see if maybe by taking that viewer's advice and using one of these other wires, like the one that I've got these things on, maybe I can use that instead of the pin that we're doing. The pin was 23 thousandths, whereas this wire that's in this tube is only I think around 9/10 thousandths. So that might work better. I just want to try it, and then there's one other experiment I want to try, just to see if we can get something that's going to end up looking just a little bit more realistic here. Now, once again, I'm using the white paper as a background so that our wire will stand out. Otherwise, it'll just blend right in with the brown towel here and you won't see nothing. And the idea is I'm going to try and wrap this, what did we figure it was, about 5 thousandths of an inch around this one here, which is around 9 thousandths of an inch. And that'll give us a much smaller loop. That's the plan. Now I will put the macro lens on when we actually go to do this. There may be a better way of doing this, but for the moment I'm just I don't want to be pulling too tight on here because then this will break. Yet I want it to be tight enough that it's going to, form a little loop. Something like that. Okay, let's get the macro lens on. And here we go. That looks pretty tight to me.
We'll do a little comparison in a moment, but first of all, a special thank you to that viewer who suggested this. Yeah, this seems to have worked really, really well. I don't know if I'd have thought of that on my own. I'd like to think I would have, but I probably wouldn't have. Thank you.
Now the other thing that I wanted to try, and I realized that it may not look good, but what if we were to go around twice, sort of have like a double loop? Would this work? It may not look good, but I won't know if I don't try it. Well, I think you get the idea. I'm just gonna put this in the chuck and we'll do it all over again. Now, can we pull this tight enough so it's going to close that loop? Okay. Alright, let's see what happens here. I'll put the macro lens back on. And once again, here we go. Well, it was an idea. I don't know if it was a very good one, though. Now, I may have made matters worse here, but what I tried to do just now was sharpen this little bit. If you remember, this is our 17 thousandths. And if you remember on the end here, it was kind of rounded over. So I don't know if I've made it better or not. Offhand, I'd say, or not. I'm more or less melting my way through. I'm not really cutting my way through. At least I'm through. Okay, we melted our way through. And the kids are having a good time. Okay, we're looking at them through the macro lens, which is actually better than you normally would with the, by eye, even if you had really good vision. And maybe if you were even wearing strong reading glasses at the same time. I like this smaller one that's in the middle. I don't particularly care for the one that has the double loop. As you can see, it looks like I may have bent the one on the right there just a little bit, but I do like the smaller one that was made by wrapping the 5/1000ths of an inch diameter wire around the 10/1000ths. I like that idea. Now here's something we should try, and that is feeding the easy line through the smallest one. Oh yeah, that should work. Sorry about my fingers. Okay. Now, we know it'll go through this one, so anyway, yeah, I like the smallest one the best. And once again here, just to keep everything in perspective, we're talking about something really small here. I found out where our little ball bearing is supposed to go, and as it turns out, I was right. It did go between the spring and that piece of tin foil that was acting as some sort of a shield. If you look here, you can see the ball bearing. I enhanced it a bit in Photoshop, and there it is. And if you watch as I put the parts back together, you can see that they're going to line up. That's the only possible place it could have gone. So I'm feeling pretty proud of myself here. I guessed right. Now about the coating on this wire, I don't think there is. But down in my workshop, unless I threw it out, I've got some stuff that goes back about 15 years from when I was doing some experimenting around. And I'll see if I can find it, and that will prove, without a doubt, whether or not there's any kind of coating or a jacket on these little strands. Anyway, that's going to have to wait until tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.